Good morning, boys and girls. I am so excited for this lesson today. It might not be morning, it might be afternoon for you, but for me it is an early morning. Today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be talking about the gods, the Roman and the Greek gods. How many of you know the Roman and Greek gods, or maybe one of them? Okay, not too many, right? We haven't really heard of them too much. But let's go back a little bit and talk about the truth, right? Are there many gods? No, there are not many gods. How many gods are there? There is only one true God. One God and three persons. Good job. What are the names of the three persons? Father, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And who is God the Son? God the Son is Jesus, right? So before we begin, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about how there really only is one true God. There only really is one true God. But you see, the Israelites, right? Those were God's people. Those were God's chosen people. Not the Greeks, not the Romans, but the Israelites. So all of these people are together. They're all they're living at the same time. It's like saying the Americans, and then the Mexicans, and then the Chinese. It's like saying like that we're all living at the same time, right? So back then it was the Romans and the Greeks and the Israelites, and they all lived in the same world. I'm gonna grab my globe back here. I know you guys saw it yesterday when we were talking about it, but I just kind of want to show you where they lived. So this is North America, as you can tell. And if you keep on going across the Atlantic Ocean, go, you find some, oh, I'm so sorry. This is the Pacific Ocean. This is Los Angeles right here. This is where we're at. If you keep on going, you go through the Pacific, there are some islands, Hawaii. You keep on going and you hit the Philippines and Asia and China. But usually when you want to go to the other side of the world, we go from New York City and we go through the Atlantic Ocean, And guess what? The only way into the Mediterranean Sea is through this little country. It's called Gibraltar. It's down here. It's a tiny one. And the boats, the only way to get in, have to go through that little river, or that canal. It's not really a river. It's still the sea, but it's a canal. And they go through that canal, and then you get into the Mediterranean Sea and Europe. Do you see that? And so the Romans were right here, right? The Greeks were right here. And the Israelites were over here. Romans, Greeks, Israelites. Do you see that? Romans, Greeks, Israelites. So this is where Jesus once lived. The Romans and the Greeks existed. They were born before Jesus. So they didn't know who God was. They didn't know who our God was. They didn't know Jesus because Jesus wasn't born yet. So God is so good. God the Father is so, so good that he allowed the Romans and the Greeks. So the Romans and the Greeks had this desire inside them to worship. Don't we worship when we go to Mass? We worship, and we worship in the right way. And so the Romans and the Greeks had this desire to want to worship. They also wanted to worship. And they ended up worshiping fake gods. It's really sad. They're not real gods. They made them up because they wanted to worship, but they didn't know about the one true God. Aren't we so blessed to know Jesus, to know the one true God, that we get to worship the right God and the only God? And because we worship the good and the right God, the only God, it makes us happy. So again, the Greeks and the Romans did not know about the real presence of Jesus. They did not have Mass. They did not have a temple. They did not have any of that. They didn't know who God was. Isn't that wild? Can you even imagine that? They didn't know who the real God was. And they spent their whole lives looking for him. Well, they didn't know they were looking for him, but they spent their whole lives looking for God. And instead of finding God, they made up fake gods. They didn't know how to explain it, so they just made them up. They made up fake gods. So the gods that I'm going to share with you are the gods that they believed in. They're fake gods, okay? They're not really gods. So when we write God, for the Romans and the Greeks, we're not going to capitalize the G, because it's not the one and true God, the one that we believe in. It's a fake God. So again, the Romans and the Greeks made up fake gods because they really wanted to worship. And I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. They were very creative when they invented these gods. They had a god for everything. Again, they didn't know. But also, once they started doing and worshiping these fake gods, some of them were evil gods. Some of them it was not very good. They did not make good choices. When they made up these gods, it wasn't just like they made it up and there was no consequences. No, they made it up, and the bad, remember how we talked about the bad spirits, right? The demons, the devil. Well, some of these gods acted like the devil, and it was not good. It was not good at all. But I do want to talk to you about some of these gods because it was very much part of the Roman culture. So in order to understand who the Romans were, we got to talk about these gods that they believed in. And I'm going to tell you some stories about these gods. Again, these stories are myths, and a myth is, it's just a make-believe story. But some people believed in myths back then. So that was a long intro as to tell you that we're going to be learning about the gods today. You have this piece of paper. This was under your Monday sheet, I believe. I want you to watch. I'm going to cut it up, and I want you guys to glue this in your notebook, okay? Thank you guys for being so patient. So we're not going to cut. I want you to cut from here all the way up, and I want you to cut over the god. So just watch. Don't do it with me yet. Just watch. I want you to cut like this. You see how I cut that side? Then I want you to cut over the title. Okay. And then I want you to cut this box right here. And then I want you to cut the bottom. You see? Okay. So we're gonna open so go ahead and cut that, put pause, and go ahead and cut that. Okay, now that it is cut, we're gonna open, we have our Romulus and Remus page, then we have our Mediterranean page, then we have our copywork, then we have the Etruscans, Then we have some more copy work. We have our timeline. We have some more copy work. And then we have Rome is growing as a kingdom, right? Rome is growing. So now we're going to use this page and we're going to flip it like this. So we're going to grab our page and we're going to glue it like this. Okay? Because it doesn't fit like this. We're going to glue it like this. Okay? So go ahead and grab your glue stick and I want you to glue it. So go ahead and do this with me. Once I am done, if you need more time, go ahead and put pause. And that way we can finish together. Okay? So if you need more time right now, please put pause, okay? Okay, now that you're done gluing, we are going to paste it like this, okay? And then you just put it down. Perfect. Okay, now I want us to look at this. Once it's done, if you need more time gluing, put pause. Okay, now that you're back, I want us to go over these. What do you notice at the top of this chart? What's the title, first of all? What's the title? The Gods and Goddesses of Greece. Ooh, there's a mosquito. Okay, the Gods and Goddesses of Greece. Notice that each letter in each word is capitalized because it's a title. We always capitalize the first letter of every word in a title, unless it's an article. See, and is an article and of is a preposition. Sorry, these are both prepositions, so we do not capitalize them. But the gods and goddesses of Greece. Do you see that? And so we capitalize the T, we capitalize the G, and the G, and the G. Okay, the gods and goddesses of Greece. So when a god, one of the fake gods, is a boy, we call it a god. And when one of the gods is a girl, we call it a goddess. Good job. So the Greeks were the first people to make up these fake gods. They were the first ones to make up these fake gods. And the king of all of the gods, the most important god, the highest god, the leader of all of the gods, because there was a lot of gods, his name was Zeus. That was the Greek name. His name was Zeus. And then his wife, Hera, was his wife. And Hera had a job. So these gods, the Greeks, thought that these fake gods were in heaven, just living like us, but they were in heaven. And they had a job, and their job depended on who the god was. So for example, Zeus's job was to be in charge of all the other gods. And Hera's job was to be the protector of marriage. So she protected everyone who was married. And Poseidon was the ruler of the sea. So the Greeks and the Romans thought, well, if I'm gonna go on a boat to, let's say, I don't know, Africa, we're going to Africa, and I'm gonna go on the boat, I'm gonna pray to the god of the sea so that he can protect me. See, they wanted to pray. They really wanted to pray, but they didn't do it right. They made up fake gods. But they also didn't know who the real God was. So we'll go over these gods, but I just wanted to give you a little glimpse of this. Zeus was the biggest god. He was the one in charge. He was like the president of the gods. And after that, the Romans, boys and girls, said, hey, we want gods too. And they said, we're going to borrow your gods, Greeks. Is that okay? And the Romans took on the Greeks' gods. And they just changed their name. So Zeus is named Jupiter. So it's the same God, but they changed the name. Again, they're not real gods. They're fake gods. They're made up gods. But the Romans just changed the name. Same God. They have the same job. And Hera, the wife of Zeus, they changed her name. The Romans changed her name and said, you're no longer going to be Hera. You're going to be Juno. Isn't that a funny name? And then they said, Poseidon, you're no longer going to be Poseidon. We're going to change your name. Your name's going to be Neptune. Okay? Now, this video is going a little bit long, so you have a coloring page of Neptune inside your binder. Why don't you go ahead and color it on your own after this video is over. Go ahead and color it on your own. And tomorrow, I'm going to share with you a video and a story of Neptune. Okay, it's a really fun story. You'll get to know the story of how Neptune was born and how he became the ruler of the sea. It'll be really, really fun. Okay, so I just want you right now to go ahead and put this in here. It should already be in here. And then tomorrow, we'll go ahead and talk about these gods. Okay? Okay, boys and girls, you guys were such good listeners. I appreciate that. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoyed your field trip yesterday to the Getty Villa. Hopefully when we come back in person, we'll be able to go to the Getty Villa together. Okay, boys and girls, have a great rest of your day. Totus tuus, Maria.